Day pause. Country-specific reciprocal tariffs are now in effect as of August 7th. But first, hi, my name is Ogechi. I'm a financial educator, investor, and founder of One Savvy Dollar. Welcome and welcome back to my channel where we talk about the stock market, your money mindset, personal finance, and trending money news because as always, it's my job to keep you current as you build your first 100K in the stock market. Thank you for spending this 7 to 10 minutes with me. I'm so glad that you're here. Next, if you haven't liked and subscribed, please do so that we can grow our wealth together and build the community over here. So let's get into today's topic. After a 90-day pause, country-specific reciprocal tariffs are now in effect as of August 7th. If you remember, tariffs affected the stock market in Q1. Q1 just means January 1st through March 31st. You see, the stock market is driven by only two emotions, fear and greed. Now, when the economy is uncertain, people panic and act fearfully. On the other hand, when the economy is booming, people tend to spend a lot more to the point of greed. Now, tariff talks and trade wars definitely are enough reasons to put people in panic mode, and by the end of Q1, the stock market was down. Let's take a look at the short, timeline on President Trump's tariffs. February 1st, President Trump signs an executive order to impose tariffs on three of our closest trading partners, Canada, Mexico, and China. 25% on imports from Canada and Mexico, 10% on all imports from China. All three countries were outraged, rightfully, and promised to retaliate as well. February 4th, President Trump's new 10% tariffs on all Chinese imports into the U.S. goes in effect. China, in return, implements tariffs of 15% on coal and liquefied natural gas, 10% tariffs on crude oil, agricultural machinery, large displacement cars, and pickup trucks. February 13th, President Trump announces a plan for reciprocal tariffs, promising to increase U.S. tariffs to match the tax rates that other countries charge on imports for purposes of fairness, even though an increase could create chaos for global businesses. He also adds other countries like India and European nations to the list. March 4th, President Trump's 25% tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico goes into effect while doubling the tariffs on all Chinese imports to 20%. Again, all three countries promise to retaliate. Canada announces tariffs on more than $100 billion of American goods, while China imposes tariffs of up to 15% on a variety of our farm exports. March 6th, President Trump postpones 25% tariffs on many imports from Mexico and some imports from Canada for a month, but he still plans to impose reciprocal tariffs. March 12th, President Trump's new tariffs on steel and aluminum imports goes into effect, and both are now taxed at 25%. The European Union strikes back, promising new tariffs on U.S. industrial and farm products, steel and aluminum products, textiles, home appliances, agricultural goods, motorcycles, bourbon, peanut butter, and jeans. March 26th, President Trump says that he's placing 25% tariffs on auto imports starting on fully imported cars to boost domestic manufacturing. But here's the flip side. It could also put a financial strain on automakers that depend on global supply chains. I'm running through the dates to give you some highlights of the back and forth that has been going on around tariffs. So if you're still with me, type tariffs in the comment section below. In Q2, which starts from April 1st through June 30th, the stock market was up, and it was largely due to the 90-day pause on the tariffs to allow for trade negotiations. If you lost monies in your investments in Q1 but held on to them through Q2, you should have gained everything back and more. Just as I said a few minutes ago, the market responds to the economy. Now, when President Trump announced Liberation Day back in April, he promised that higher tariffs would better the economy. One way to measure this is through the revenues generated versus our expenditures. So it's only right that we talk about tariff revenues versus expenditures at this point. As of July, the government has collected about $152 billion in revenues from tariffs, which is almost double when you compare it to the 78 billion from last year, according to the New York Times. With high revenues like this, the government will more likely stick to seeing the tariffs through. Now, when we compare it to expenditures, I think that's where the numbers and the math doesn't quite add up. If you aren't aware yet, the big beautiful bill just passed. I have a series coming up on that. And that bill will increase the federal debt by $2.4 trillion. So 152 billion versus 2.4 trillion. You tell me if the numbers add up. We're now in Q3, which starts from July 1st through September 30th, and the tariff talks are back and in effect. Stock prices may drop, but it also means that there might be a lot of good stocks on sale. It's always a buying opportunity. How will you be affected? Well, per Yale Budget Lab, tariffs will cost the average American household $2,400. Q1, retailers absorb some of the cost to see how the 90-day pause for negotiations would go. But with the tariffs in full effect now, I'm sure they can't hold on anymore. If you remember, a very popular fashion site, I'm sure us women know this, from China actually notified customers of price increases effective April. So expect to see goods and services go up from here. So what would I do if I were you? I would hold on to some cash. I mean, I know that there's inflation going on right now, but I would hold on to cash as part of my emergency funds and to purchase some stocks because listen, generational wealth is built during market downturns. For instance, 2022 was a bad year for the stock market, but the market recovered well in 2023 and 2024. Personally, I ended the year with less than I started with, even though I kept investing all year in 2022. But then when the market recovered in 2023 and 2024, so did my account. How do you feel about the tariffs? Are you bracing for impact? Tell me how you feel in the comments because I look forward to reading your thoughts. My name is Ogechi from One Savvy Dollar, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.